All right.
Cool. How's it going? I'm Metal Nick.
Jeff Grindstopher.
And we are here with Vinyl Bang. Nice little show that JR Hayes, a Pig Destroyer, requested for us. And we've known each other for about 14 years now. We've been big record collectors, and we've, just, I guess it's word on him that we come get together and do this neat little show for Mold Dominion. So we started.
We've both known JR for a few years, and he knows that we're both avid vinyl collectors. And he said, "Yeah, why don't we just have you and Metal Nick talk about your vinyl collections?" It's, okay, So big shout out to JR for this, because this is fun. This is going to be awesome. So
this really is. I'm stoked about this. The second he brought it up, my eyes lit up, and I was like, "Well, I got to get in touch with Jeff." So. We made a short list for the first episode where we're going to hopefully get other people in on this, because we know a lot of vinyl collectors out there, and Jeff's got a couple in mind. I've got a few in mind already, so we'll hope these work. But first topic is the first record you ever owned. Jeff, do you want to start?
Sure. The first metal record that I owned in my 20s was Cattle Decapitation, Karma Bloody Karma. My now wife, Melanie, who a lot of you know as the woman, the cute blonde woman that I travel around with, she bought this for me our first Christmas together 18 years ago. I don't know. It wasn't too long after it came out, but the original picture disc pressing of Karma Bloody Karma was the first record I ever owned, and it's still to this day one of the coolest records I own, because of the jacket on this thing. It's like it's embossed, the Ouroboros and the
love that,
all of it. It's awesome feeling. It is still one of the coolest records I own. So that's my contribution. Karma Bloody Karma picture disc, OG pressing.
I love that album so much. My original first record, I eventually sold it on eBay because it was kind of faded, which was Rob Zombie Hellbilly Deluxe picture disc vinyl. But when I really started picking up and collecting again was the Dillinger Escape Plan, Irony is a Dead Scene, featuring Mike Patton. This is the gold translucent orange one on Buddy Head Records, if you can see that, their logo up there. But yeah, it was out of 100. I saw them in Washington, D.C., and I think the summer of 06 with Swarm of the Lotus, and this was at their merch table, and I picked it up. This was a very, very cool record, probably one of the best ones that, EPs out there, at least. But to do something with Mike Patton and Dillinger Escape Plan was just quite a mix there, and even that cover they do at the end was great. So definitely something that I have held on to for many years. And then when Dillinger started really blowing up again, and but when they really started blowing up, I was glad I had this in my collection, because this is definitely a rare one that not a lot of people can get their hands on. So
absolutely, I am insanely jealous of that. A little side story: that EP was actually my introduction to the Dillinger Escape Plan, just because of Patton's involvement in it. Because haven't been a Faith No More fan since 1989. Them being my favorite band in the world, and just anything that Mike Patton was involved with, I had to hear it. And I don't remember how I found out about that EP. It was in probably a magazine or something, because this was way before the internet. But I found out that Patton had done an EP with Dillinger Escape Plan. I'm like, I have to hear this. So I drove an hour to Quincy, Illinois, and bought a copy of that on CD and listened to it twice on the way home. It was just blown away by how different this was from Bungle or Faith No More or whatever. It was so intense. And because of that EP, Dillinger Escape Plan became one of my favorite live bands to ever see. And I've got you can't really, I guess you can't see it because of the light, but I've got that actually tattooed on my wrist, the Irony is a Dead Scene boy. But yeah, love that EP.
Yeah, great one for sure.
It is.
All right, next topic is album you have the most pressings of.
Oh, here we go. We go. This took a lot of math and a lot of research to come to a conclusion, but I'm pretty sure The album that I own the most copies of is The Anthropocene Extinction by
Nice.
Cattle Decapitation.
Nice.
For some reason, I mean, I have 2 copies of the picture disc, the regular picture disc, and I don't know why I own 2 copies. This one was the tour edition, I think, from whenever they toured
Yeah.
Europe or somewhere. That this
I
was a
remember
tour
something
edition.
happening like that. There was like one that was for sale to like online, and then there was like a tour exclusive one. So I that's why you got that. That's
And this one, the tour edition, came with a patch.
Yeah.
And I believe a poster. I don't know. I'm not digging all this out, but I counted 18 copies of this album, and it is absolutely. It's a great record. It is absolutely a great record. This pressing right here, this Trash Explosion, it's not open. I don't open all of the pressings that I have just because I have a couple that I listen to, and those are the ones that are open. But the ones that stay sealed, just because I'm a collectionist, this pressing, the pictures of it are just. This record is beautiful. I mean,
I've
so
seen
many colors in this
online.
pressing.
We were talking about that yesterday, I believe, and that's an awesome one. I agree, man. That's a beautiful one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you say you had?
Do what?
How many are in your collection of that?
I think 18 or 19 is what I counted, including the multiple picture discs. Why I have, I don't know. But the Nessie pressings that I can't remember where this guy's from. It's from
somewhere in Japan.
Europe,
Japan,
Amsterdam. These pressings that the Nessie record label produces, these sound incredible.
Yeah,
these are just so good. They sound so good. I mean, besides the aesthetic aspect of it, where it has the obi strip, they are so aesthetically pleasing. They are awesome pressings. But these are my favorites. The Nessies, they are awesome pressings.
I've noticed. I don't think I've spun any of the ones that I own. I definitely have noticed that the paper it's printed on is a lot better than the sleeves of the actual records come on.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know what paper he uses, but
spares no
top shelf stuff.
Yeah.
But what about you? What's your most owned pressing?
So sometime in 2017, I went a little haywire because I heard it early, but it would be Power Trip's Nightmare Logic. I own 13 pressings of this, and I know there's way more than that. I gave up at some point because I kind of just I don't know. I'll tell you the story in a minute, but when I get to that record, I'm just showing you all the different ones. There's like a picture disc that came out. I think Southern Lord sold that one on their website. This one was a record release show on white vinyl. I think there's only 100, 200 of these. And shout out to Josh Huddleston for picking this one up for me. He went to the show out there in Texas. He's a trooper.
Old Josh.
Keep it wolf, son. And then this last one, which is probably the rarest pressing of it all, is a test press, which I actually purchased from Riley himself back in, I want to say, maybe 2019, 2018. I bought this off of 2019, I think is when I bought this off of him. But yeah, I don't have it all. There's still a lot. And Josh said something to me too the other day because there's a lot more pressings out, and I do have a lot on my shelf. Actually, if you ever look through my spines, you'll be like, "What is this?" But I love that record. It's a great album, a great fucking band. It's a shame, Riley passed away at such a young age.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, but that's what I got there. I guess our next topic is our most valuable, and I have a funny story when I get to mine. But go ahead and tell me what you got there.
All right. So as far as most valuable, a couple of years ago, I think it was during the pandemic, I found an original pressing of the debut Violent Femmes album.
Right.
Not metal at all, but it is a very, very punk album. The Violent Femmes, they've been a favorite of mine for God knows how long. I mean, since I was a teenager, I've been a fan of the Violent Femmes. But the pressing that I found, it's got the corner cut out, so that indicates it's something. But whenever I got the record and opened it up, I noticed that it had a promotional advert to it that was to describe this was a promotional copy from 1983, a very first press that was sent out to record labels to describe who the Violent Femmes were and their background and the birth dates of the band members and just stuff like. It was a very cool find. It was unknown that this was included in the record, but to have this as the promotional press sheet that was sent out with the record, that is absolutely one of my most valued items ever, because it just awesome piece of history to have right there. So
I think we talked about it last night, but I feel like I felt like there's going to be like some Nirvana record in there that you probably have like the first pressing of like Nevermind or something. There's like, I remember seeing like the European tour EP of Hormoning that was from Australia, and I was like, I saw that on Discogs once. It was like thousands of dollars, and I was like, holy shit, man. And I was like, and all I thought to myself was like, I bet Jeff owns this.
I got the Hormoning EP. They released it on Record Store Day in like 2009 or 2010, and I've got that. It was a repress, but still, I do have the Hormoning EP. I mean, the Nirvana lineage. I mean, it just been a fan of Nirvana since I was like 11, 10 or 11. I've been a fan ever since, and it will not go away. I'll always be a Nirvana fan.
So. I don't doubt it, man. Yeah. So mine was a little weird. This is an original pressing of Meshuggah's Destroy, Erase, Improve. Unfortunately, they put the sticker on the sleeve there. I don't like that. Yeah,
I hate it when bands do that.
It is number 96 of 333, and let me just pull this blammer out. It's a Swedish Flag edition of this record.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Now, like, this record's been repressed a few times by Nuclear Blast, I believe, since. So, like, and with like new artwork and all that, but this was 95. Yeah. I don't know. I bought this from somebody on Discogs. I told you the story. It was from Spain, and this guy just like took his sweet time sending it to me. And I actually looked it up today, because you can look up at like all your, even though after you archive all your purchases on Discogs, it cost me 86 euros. It wasn't that bad. I think the most expensive one I probably bought was like a Relapse Clear from somebody. But we'll get on that when we get to that episode.
When we get to the Clear episode, for sure. Absolutely. That's going to be a fun one.
Oh, absolutely, man. I'm anyways.
3 hours of talking about Clear Relapse records.
I mean, between you and Alex Cha and the way you guys have your setups, like it's brilliant, actually. I admire it, because I'm like looking at my collection, I'm like, God, I'm so fucking vanilla here. Why don't I just do what these guys are doing? So all right, our next topic is coolest record store find.
Oh, yeah, just like a random find, something that you weren't intending to find, and something you just happened to come across. Mine, I don't remember. Okay, my daughter lives in the city. I do not live in a big city. I live in a small town. We don't have record stores. And no restaurants are open on Mondays. Just whatever. But I went down to see my daughter, and while I was waiting for her to get off work or something, I just went over to a local record store, and I found a bootleg copy of the very first DRI EP. This EP, like, I had it on cassette when I was a kid, when I was like 8 or 9, whenever I was skateboarding in the small town I grew up in. And one of the older skaters, who was 3 or 4 years older than me, gave me a copy of this on cassette. And I still have that, by the way. I still have the original cassette that I had from whenever I was a kid. But to find this is just, I mean, it was phenomenal just to find a bootleg copy on vinyl of this cassette that I had when I was a kid. And for those of you who don't know, the Dirty Rotten Imbeciles' very first EP is basically where I got my adoration for grind. Now today, the short, just the real 30-second songs. This is where that started when I was a kid. This Dirty Rotten Imbeciles, so good. Their very first EP they ever put out is definitely worth checking out. If you've never heard it, do yourself a favor if you're a grind fan and listen to this album. So good. That's my coolest, just random find.
I fucking
Hands down.
Beneath the Wheels, Suit and Tie Guy, all those songs are great.
So good.
Yeah, this one was a tough one for me because I usually go every Monday with Blake from Pig Destroyer, and we go a lot of places. We go to DC and Baltimore, and for a while we were just hitting up Celebrated Summer in Baltimore. We were having not such great luck, and one day we decided let's go to Joint Custody in DC because every now and then I go in there and I find some really cool shit in there. And this is a band. They were a I don't know how you want to call them, metalcore, deathcore, or hardcore, but they were a band that kicked ass a lot in the early 2000s when I started going to a lot of shows, especially underground shows. They're called Remembering Never. This was their third album or maybe fourth album called God Save Us. This is not very easy to find. I remember especially when I started collecting records and I started thinking about all the albums that really meant a lot to me in the early 2000s. And I thought about this one, and it's crazy because, I mean, nobody would sell it. If they were selling it, it's expensive as shit. But I randomly found it in that store. I don't know what happened. Recently, the singer passed away. So I don't know if somebody just decided to get rid of it, but we're walking in there and I was flipping through the new used bin and I came across this and I pulled it out. $60 I paid for this thing, but this is a cool one. And then I have a couple others that over the years that I found that, I think I mentioned to you the Paul Di'Anno autograph Women in Uniform Iron Maiden record, but this one's a very very difficult to find, actually. And the fact that somebody brought it to a record store and flipped it, I just, I came in at the right time and found this. That's all I could say.
Right. That's awesome.
Record. I've got a memory of working in an office in I think 2006 and hearing this. They put this whole album on their website and I was listening to it and I called my buddy Ray. And I was like, dude, you got to hear this new Remembering Never album. And he always tells me this story that he was in the hospital because his daughter was born, and he didn't bother to stop to tell me I'm at the hospital because my daughter was just born. He just kept there, sat there and let me just talk on about how great this Remembering Never album was. I feel kind of foolish, but
priorities.
Yeah. Last topic. Favorite record that you own?
This is a two-part answer for me. Mm-hmm. The first one, and we'll go by order of as long as I've had them, because not the order of importance at all. The coolest record that I own is, once again, Cattle Decapitation, the Homivore pressing that they did. They did a 666 copies on Diarrhea of the Mouth vinyl. Which is, it's clever. I mean, and the pressing itself is awesome. But I believe the story that Travis has told the public, Diarrhea of the Mouth vinyl pressing, awesome pressing. I believe the backstory about this is whenever the initial shipment of records was sent out, that there were 50 or 100 of them that the jackets got ruined somehow. I don't know if it was rain or snow or farting unicorns or what the problem was, but the jackets got ruined, and instead of scrapping the entire package, they did these screen printed covers of the diagram of a drawn and quartered human being, and it's absolutely one of the coolest records that I own, just because of the design itself, is awesome, especially for Cattle Decapitation. but to have one, these are hard to find too. These are absolutely.
Yeah.
I have to get used to this showing records and backwards on my cell phone. It's hard to get used to that.
It's clear on my side.
Okay, but yeah, this is absolutely one of the coolest records I own. Cattle Decapitation, Home of War.
All right. So mine is from a band that I probably have my largest collection from, actually, and probably one of the funnest bands to collect from, actually, for me at least, was the Weekend Nachos nacho shaped vinyl. I get hit up for this all the time. People are always asking me if I'll sell mine to them. Please hit them up. There's only 50 of them out there. I got mine. Let me see if I can kind of pull it out. You'll see it's signed by some of them. But
right on. Yeah.
It's an 8-inch vinyl. When I started collecting their discography, this was one that was like really on the high top of my list. And the guy who I think either put this album out for them or pressed it. I don't know what the story was, but he worked on this somehow. And a friend of his mom needed like a new kidney or something. So he was trying to raise money and he sold this. So I gave him more money than he was asking for because I wanted it that bad. And it was for a good cause, obviously. But yeah, this is a rare one amongst others that, I have in my collection of Weekend Nachos. I think maybe we'll do an episode about that, about our biggest discography collection. But this one is definitely, a rare one that a lot of people like and want from me. But
oh yeah, and dude, the odd shaped records, the shaped record, I love those. The ones that are
yeah, I had something
cut.
It was cut by Peter King in New Zealand, and it's an 8-inch. And there's a couple lath cuts that I have from the Weekend Nachos. Actually, there's one that I got that's wasn't really released to the public at all. It was just for the band itself and friends of them and Sex Prisoner. And the singer of Weekend Nachos reached out to the person who put these out, and he's like, I got somebody who needs this. And I messaged this guy, and he sent me one. I was trying to give him money for it. He's like, no, I'm not taking money on these. But I was told not to say the label, even though it's on Discogs now. But I was very respectful of his wishes. This guy's pretty cool, and
sure.
Put out some good shit over the years. But this was like a ultimate to have in my collection as well. But yeah, so.
Cool. So seeing yours and the color of that reminded me to do the second one of mine.
Yeah.
Last year I was in the studio with Origin while they were recording Chaosmos. It's the second time that I've got to hang out in the studio with Origin, which is still like mind blowing to me that I got to hang out with them while they were recording their new album. And the second day that John Longstreth was tracking drums, I was sitting in the control room with Paul Ryan. And I asked him, I said, so are you guys doing any bonus tracks for this album? Because, that's a thing, bands will record bonus tracks for like the Japanese releases or whatever. And I asked him if he was doing what bonus tracks they were going to do. And he said they were going to re-record Disease Called Man. And my immediate reaction was there was a speaking part at the beginning. I said, would it be possible for me to do the opening line from The Matrix, the opening speaking part before Disease Called Man? And he said, I don't see why not. That would be kind of cool to have you on the album. And so a couple weeks later, whenever they were recording that album, I got to sit in the control room and say the opening line, human beings are disease, blah. I did that, and it wasn't released on the album. That track was not released on the album, which I was kind of bummed about. But then they announced that they were releasing that track on a Decibel flexi disc, the Origin Disease Called Man, on a Decibel flexi disc. So anybody that has this copy or has heard that song, the newly recorded song, that's me at the beginning of the song, which is still one of the coolest fucking things I've done in my life. I'm on an Origin song. It just, I was at the right place at the right time, and just, yeah, I'm one of the bands that I grew up listening to. One of the very first technical death metal bands I ever listened to. I'm on one of their songs. So this is also one of the coolest records I own. A Decibel flexi disc with my voice on it.
I'm still waiting for my autographed copy to come in the mail, Jeff. I love that story. That's great that they let you do that. That's good shit, man. That's good
Absolutely, absolutely. I love those guys, and even though I've told them numerous times, thank you again for letting me be on that track. But so yeah.
Well, there we go. That's the first episode. We thank you if you watched all the way to the end here, and we're gonna do some more. Like I said, we got some good people that we know, some musicians that we know that hopefully we can get apart on some of these. But yeah,
we'll have some special guests. We'll have some famous people. Maybe my wife will make an appearance in the background one day. Who knows? We'll have all kinds of guests.
For sure. Well, there we go. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Again, thank you to JR for this. I mean, the fact that I'm friends with JR Hayes is just crazy, you know. But to have him ask us to do this was fun. This was fun. We'll definitely have to do more of these down the road. So again, thank you, JR.
Thank you, JR. Shout out, JR.